Hey, welcome. This is Charlie Shaw, aka Little Mel podcast. I'm sitting here with John Vodenlich. He's the coach of the Whitewater Warhawks baseball team here in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Let me tell you a little bit about John. Coach Vodenlich actually won 700 games in 20 years.
There might be more now, but
It might be more now.
There might be more now. Yeah.
You have some very impressive accolades here. 10-time Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Coach of the Year, 14 conference titles, 6 conference championships. Wow, John. Man, I was away for a while. I missed all this.
You did, yeah. It's all right. You were doing your thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir. Regional Coach of the Year 6 times. What else is it? National Coach of the Year and honors in 2005, 2014. That's when you guys won the championship here, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I came home to visit. John and I grew up together in Racine, Wisconsin. I think we've known each other since before we were teenagers. Baseball, basketball at
RYS.
Yep, RYS.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. He played mainly on Tony's team. I always played with the Surgeon squad.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah.
And then we broke loose in middle school, and then caught back up in high school, where we all played football together. John, you didn't mess with track too much. It was baseball.
I was fall football and then hockey. And played hockey in the winter. Yeah.
Your first 2 years of high school. Did you play
Correct.
all through high school?
No, then my first 2 years I played hockey in the winter, and then after that just football and baseball.
Right. You concentrated on football and baseball, and then John was actually our quarterback. Ran the wishbone for Coach Vite's team. We rest in peace, Coach Vite. We actually co-champions our senior year.
Yeah.
I played defensive line, and they wanted me to play offense, but I didn't want any of that offensive line. But we had a good time. Grew up together. We always stayed in touch over the years, and I'm very proud that he's been a very good friend over the years.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, John. I want to thank you for letting me interview you. I came into town, and John, it's ironic how I planned this trip at the last minute, and you called me like 2 days before. I was like, man, is my phone tapped or something? Because this guy knew exactly when I was going to be coming into town. But anyway, I'm glad that we got to hook up and see one another. Man, we're always
good
going
to
be
see
friends.
you. Good to see you.
So I asked John, will he take the time out to let me interview him? I just recently retired, and I'm trying to make this podcast a nice little hobby, something to do, keep myself busy over time. So John was nice enough to let me come up and see his facilities, beautiful facilities. He put in a lot of work. I followed him online and watched watch his growth as a coach, as a man over the years, and I'm very proud to be associated with a person like John. So I said, John, I started up this podcast, and what better way is to interview you and get into it where you just got inducted. Well, you're going to get inducted into the National Coaches Hall of Fame in Dallas, Texas next week, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. No,
But
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
But you also are in the Racine Athletic Hall of Fame. You're in the State Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's good things, man. It was all good, man. I think if you do something that you're passionate about and you do it long enough and you do it well enough, people end up noticing, and I think that's what's happened. So, yeah, I'm very proud of that.
We went out the other night, you, myself, cousin Tony Shaw, and Oker.
Yeah.
And these are all, we all grew up together, and we were sitting back talking, and one of the things that we talked about was staying humble.
Yeah.
How you stay humble, man, doing the things that you've done over the years? Being the man, you're,
Well, you know how.
and producing and grooming young men.
I think that has changed. I think with the dawn of social media, so many people want to be out there and feel like they're special, and their way of feeling special is to see how many likes they can get.
Right.
Go on social media. So, humility is just not something that's not taught much anymore. I mean, of course, when we grew up, that was that was a staple, right? Humble and kind,
Right.
and you could be confident, but at least you had to act humble,
Right.
right? I think that's changed. You know, I mean, you see, at our level, Deion Sanders was a guy, right? We grew up with Deion Sanders,
Right.
and he was one of the first guys that was so boastful that probably in the initial phases we were pretty disgusted about. I mean, there was better players, whether it's Bo Jackson or
Bo was
Tony
the man.
Gwynn or
Tony Gwynn
right?
was actually.
And it was cooler to be humble. Of course, that's changed, man.
Right.
You know, he goes to Colorado and he's saying we coming. So, so as far as I'm concerned, things have changed.
Right.
There's a number of reasons why it's changed, but that's how we grew up, right?
Right.
Your mom wouldn't have allowed you to talk big and act big. She would have explained to you really quickly, right?
Real quick.
Yeah.
No, I come from a family that would explain it to me real quick.
Right, yeah. So that's how it was.
We were talking about that. I was expressing to you. I was like, man, stop. People know I'm retired. Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's not talk about what.
We're proud of you, man.
Well, I appreciate it, but I like to fly underneath the radar.
I know you do. I know you do.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was your leadership. I'm very impressed with it. You gave me a tour of your facilities. I see trophies everywhere.
Yeah.
And coming from where I came from, I was a supervisor with in my profession of law enforcement, and I prided myself on trying to lead my men from the front, not from the back.
Right. Yep.
Men and women. I apologize. Men and women from the front, not the back. And I always kept my. We have 2 ears, one mouth. I always kept my ears open to listen to what they had to say, how to be a better leader, and then speak when it's time to speak. I got a few questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Along those lines of being a leader, your leadership styles, your experiences, your approach to motivating, inspiring, and empowering coaches, players, and even family and friends. First question: what motivated you to become a baseball coach at the collegiate level?
So growing up, as you know, we all were involved in athletics.
Right.
And so I knew at a very young age that I loved sports, and I happened to be okay in it. So I was feeling good about who I was as a person because I was doing well on the field, and I was passionate about it. I enjoyed going to it. I don't ever remember having to get drugged to a practice. I remember wanting to go there. So I've always been a part of that, and I knew I was pretty good at it. And then I think with many coaches, what happens, you realize you can't play anymore.
Right.
You don't have the ability or the opportunity to play anymore. And so when that day came, it's a gut check. You got to figure out, all right, what are you going to do with this passion? And for me, the logical extension of that would be coaching. Okay. Right? When you're done playing, you can't play anymore, but you still are passionate about the game and athletics. How do you stay involved in that? And for me, the logical piece was just to get into coaching.
You were All-American here, right? You're also a player here, right?
Right.
And then you graduated, went overseas, and you played in what countries?
Slovenia, Netherlands, and Italy. And baseball was not big back then.
Right.
Yeah, there anyway, and I feel like I was the Barry Bonds of European baseball. They treated me very, very well, and I developed some lifelong friends, and I think that's the bigger piece because it didn't lead me or keep me playing. It led me to coaching, which in the first stages of coaching, it's not a replacement.
No,
man. To getting ready on that Friday night lights, coaching is not a replacement to how you felt getting ready for the game, right, that night. So I was a little disappointed with the coaching profession, at least based on how I was feeling about it, because it wasn't making me completely full. But as you get older and wiser and you have more time, I think you realize the importance of coaching. Right. And you look back at all the people that influenced our lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it became a more important thing to me as I got older.
I think where we grew up, it was a village.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was a village. And it wasn't just one demographic. We grew up with many leaders, both positive and negative, and we were able to identify who to follow, who to take advice from, and carry on with life. So What role do you believe motivation plays in effective leadership?
Yes, so I think first of all, like the idea of motivating someone to greatness, I think is kind of not my cup of tea. That's not what I think happens. What I think happens is high performers are intrinsically motivated. They're motivated from within.
Right.
For example, Otani, who's one of the best baseball players, just signed for $700 million.
That's
$700
crazy.
million is a lot of money,
That's
right?
crazy.
But he's not going to go about his business any different now that he has $700 million. He's not motivated by $700 million. $700 million came to him because of his performance level.
That was a reward.
That was the reward, and I don't think money necessarily motivates you on a day in, day out basis, and I don't think some rah-rah speech motivates you. So we're always looking for internally motivated individuals to be a part of our organization. And what I think you really want is you want to build a team that has a lot of them.
Right.
And when you have a lot of those guys that are motivated from within, not on these other things, you end up learning from each other and playing from each other. And I think we had that already. I mean, you know that we no one had to motivate us to go out there on a Friday night. So I don't like the idea that we're gonna give them a rah-rah speech like in the movies, because we know that those types of speeches do work,
yes,
but they last a short period of time.
Very short period.
So then the question becomes is, what are we gonna do on day 2, day 3, day 4, day 1,000? And so I do think one of the things we can do is we can provide the right culture, the right environment for them, and then you put a lot of high-performing individuals together and good things are gonna happen.
So that's how you cultivate that environment.
I think it starts with the people. I think somewhere along the line we forgot that at the core of every organization, at the core of every team, every business, are people.
Right.
And you can't replace everybody.
No.
You know, you need good people. And so for me, it starts with the product we get, which is a high quality student athlete. Our job is to retain them. And then develop them, right? Recruit them, retain them, and then develop them. And I think if that's your mentality, there is a lot of growth that happens once they get there. But you got to start with a good product. You can't take someone who doesn't want to do anything and somehow give him a speech and then he's going to be all right.
No, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
No, that's the same with my profession. You motivate them so much, but they got to pick it up.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what methods do you use to communicate, your shared vision and your goals that you want each individual to?
And I think that's a key. I think the key, the number one job of a leader is to create vision.
Right.
Right. And I certainly have had that here. And that was something that I only shared with Coach Miller, who was in this with me for many, many years. And we talked about where do we want to see this place in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line? What do we see? And I think that's our job when a student athlete comes here or an employee comes to your business. Your job is to create a vision as to what we do and where we're going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And then ultimately the next step is, what is your role in that vision? So what are you going to do with that vision? How's that going to help you personally to see my vision? And so I do think from a leadership standpoint, our number one job is to create that vision. And then the next thing becomes, how do we create the journey to make that vision happen?
The path.
Yeah, the path. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You speak a lot about Coach Miller, which the field is also named after him.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So he was a valuable point.
Yeah. And the older I got, the more I
understood.
him. Right.
It's funny how you got to get older to understand why they stressed us out, why they pushed us, why they sent us certain messages that we didn't understand at the time. But as you grow, you start realizing, hey, they were grooming you. You didn't even know it.
And that's why, when you look at leadership and what we're trying to do is, it also, one of the most important things you have to have is trust.
Right.
Right. The old John Wooden saying is that, it's more about the Joes as opposed to the X's and O's, or I think it might be the reverse. It's not about the X's and O's, but
it's about the Joes.
About the Joes, right? So ultimately, I think they have to know that you care about them before they're going to follow your vision. And I think that's harder than ever today. I think we just kind of understood it, man. I mean, like, you looked at me and said, "Hey, do you trust him?
Right.
You think what he's doing, what he's telling us is good?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I asked you, and we believed in it.
Right.
And I think so. You do need that vision. You do need to work on the path, but then you're not gonna follow someone you don't trust.
Never have.
You know.
Yeah.
So I do think that has something to do with it as well.
Well, that segue right into the next question. What barriers have you found or experienced that made you think, man, is this right for me, or should I go a different direction, or was there any barriers that came your way?
Well, certainly in the initial phases, I never thought I could make a career out of this. There was not a lot of coaching jobs out there.
Right.
If you were getting one, you weren't making a lot.
Right.
And that, I had no desire to live in poverty, right? So, it's like, how do I make this happen? So in the initial phases, the lack of positions in the industry was a big issue. Football led the way, followed by basketball, and baseball was late to the party, man. We didn't have a lot of full-time positions where you could make a living. So that was a barrier early. So getting that opportunity, and I think a lot of young men and women don't understand. I may have sent out 300 resumes or more.
Wow.
And
all over the country.
Got denied. I remember being a finalist in a job in Australia when I was young, and I thought I was going there. I was getting ready to drink some Fosters, and I was excited, and we're going to listen to Men at Work, and whatever I thought it meant to be in Australia, I was going to do that. But what ended up happening, of course, you get a lot of denials.
Right.
And I think people have changed. So then the other obstacle, I think, is individuals have changed over the last 30 years, and that's not me being an old guy who's complaining. That they've changed for the better in many areas. But I think they are not as resilient as they once were. So how do you motivate someone who is wants to go in the right direction, but probably hasn't taken the hits we have moving up? So we have to continue to encourage them, and how we encourage them, I think, has changed a little bit.
No one wants to wait anymore. They don't want to develop.
Instant gratification, right? They want it now.
That's what it is. You want it now.
Yep, they want it now. And if you're looking at what's happening in the industry, the transfer portal is the greatest example of that.
I was going to ask you about that.
Right. If you don't like where it is, just leave. And the tough thing for me,
you're affected by that as the CEO of your baseball team.
I'm impacted for it, but I also have an issue with it because how are we raising these young men and women? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to bail the first time it gets tough, well, I don't know. I don't want a friend like that. I don't want a wife like that, and I don't want a teammate like that. So at the end of the day, you always have to watch out what's happening. And one of the other obstacles is just change, right? As we get older, there's things that change, and you got to adapt, or die. So those are just a couple of the things that have been challenging.
How do you challenge your coaches? Because I know your leadership skills, but how are you challenging your coaches? Especially going into this year, what are you?
Once again, creating a vision and them understanding a clear path or a clear understanding of what you're looking for. And for me, there's three priorities I have with my coaches. Number one is loyalty. Okay, your job is to help our program, not to help yourself.
Exactly.
If you help our program and you help me and you help the players, then you're going to be all right. Number two, work ethic. There's not enough talking about that anymore, man. I mean, no one wants to go work for $10. So you got to work at it. And then finally, then and only then is it technical skill. So, I don't know what you did, in your career, Charlie. I definitely don't understand your career, law enforcement. But certainly there's got to be some loyalty. There has to be a work ethic. And then after that, at a minimum, you have to understand what you're doing, right? You can't not understand it. But I don't know if knowledge comes in front of loyalty and hard work, because for me, those are the things that make all people great, is their ability to be loyal to someone, and then obviously the work ethic they put forth in their craft.
I think it goes back to setting a vision, setting an expectation, announcing that right out the front, and if they buy into it, I don't think that they're gonna have any issues, but you can identify that within the first 5 minutes of talking to somebody, whether or not it's about them or is it about the team. I experienced that. I know about that, and I think that a lot of times it's the instant gratification where people are lost at. So
yeah.
I haven't came up with the formula of that.
No, none of us
Because
have.
I think that folks are built different now. I don't know if it's the internet or what. I don't want to sound too old, but
Yeah.
I think that everybody wants it right now.
Yeah,
And you have to grow. You have to grow. You're laying there as a child, as a baby. You lay there, you crawl, you walk, and then you run. So you have to go through the process. So pretty much answered the next question is how do you promote culture of continuous motivation to high performance with your team, especially during difficult times. Now, John, this is what I want to ask you. I've been in sports. I know you're going to have to cut people, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have empathy, sympathy? Which one is it?
Empathy, yeah. I mean, growing up like we did, it never makes you right. It never makes you perfect, but I do think you have to see the struggles of others to understand them. I don't know you have to always go through exactly what they went through, but you definitely have to have that empathy and know what they're going through. And so for me, I think if you if you use that as your only guiding light is treat people like you want to be treated. Try to feel how you would be feeling if you're in that situation. Mm-hmm. You can't help but feel for someone that you're going to have to let go. And unfortunately, we're not in the industry of mediocrity, and we're not trying to maintain a lot of people. We want the elite players that can win us games, and so from that standpoint, it's very, very cut and dry, and it's the worst part of my job, having to make those decisions.
I wouldn't want to make those.
But you do try to do right by them, right? So if they're not going to be good enough to play in your program, you try to find them a place that they can be, successful in, and that may hurt you in the short term because they might go to another program and beat you. But in the long term, ultimately, they understand that you're upstanding and you're fair and you're trustworthy, and that's going to play, I think, long term. And ultimately, we got to live with ourselves. They don't, right? So if you can't be okay with the decisions you make and why you made them, then you're going to struggle long term.
We talked about that. We're not going to name off our our folks from back in the day, but you had to redirect that person's nephew to another team.
Yeah, correct. That happens a lot where people are interested in coming to a program and you just don't think that's going to be this right fit. If it's not good for your son, then it's not good for them, right? If you would say, God, this is not a great situation for my son or daughter, then it's probably not a great decision for them, right? And
you really like that person.
yeah, all kinds of. I mean, it happens often where people call us, my friends, former players, our teammates, people that we grow up with. It's happened multiple times in my life, and they'd love an opportunity to come play here or somewhere else, and it's just not the right fit for us. And it's a tough thing, but like I said, at the end of the day, I got to live with me, and I know I wouldn't live very well if I lied to them and told them what they wanted to hear.
I'm not in the business of that.
So,
I know you're not. I've known you a long time. You're not in the business of that.
No.
You're going to tell a person what they need to know to get to the next. If they can't take the path that they think that they can take, you're going to help them with another path.
Yeah, and I may not do the hard lifting for them, but certainly I can be a part of pushing them in that direction.
So, what advice would you give to aspiring leaders who seek to motivate and inspire those that lead?
Well, a couple quick career things that I think are important. Number one, do what you love and do what you're good at. Right? Those two things matter. And then finally, do whatever you can in the process to develop the skill set you need. Right? In the old thing back when we were in school, it was Stephen Covey and the habits of highly successful people, but whatever, it's changed a little bit, but it's all been regurgitated as well. But the bottom line is your job is to do something you love, do something you're good at, and then develop the skills you need to do better at it. So
never feel like work.
right, and then you're not going to work a day in your life. So for me, you got to find those things, and I think the other thing that young men and women that want to be leaders have to understand, that you got to do some things you don't want to do until you get a chance to do what you love to do. Right. It's not as simple as, oh, I want to be a coach now, and so that's all I want to do. You might have to do something else to make ends meet. And if you're going to do something else, then do it well.
Folks that know me know that I like to say this when things are getting hard, or the path that you're trying to take is not a direct path. I've always told people sometimes you just got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, for sure.
You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with being uncomfortable. It builds character.
Yeah, you bet. And you get better. You get used to it.
John, I personally think that you're the hardest working coach in the industry. Doing my research on you, knowing what you've done over the years, asking people about, I was like, damn, John really doing this thing out here, huh? You know, I always thought that you really try to go to the, try to coach at the professional level, but you really enjoy grooming at this level, huh?
I do, and once again, it's a whole nother level. When you look at what they're doing at the pro level, man, I have so much regard for pro coaches, because they're working with elite players and they're coaching at elite level. Putting money in the game, a lot of money in what we do, I struggle with.
Right.
I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm where I'm supposed to be. I like the fact that most of our athletes, they're going to be paying for their education.
Right.
Or at least a good portion of it.
Right.
No one we have has signed a $700 million contract. So not only are we getting them to the next stage of their life, but then we're seeing them be very, very successful in that stage, and that makes me proud. And ultimately, I feel our role in any organization, and certainly in what we're doing here, is I want them to know that 20 years, 25 years away from now, they got a place to call home.
Right.
We're going to still be here. I mean, you and our relationship wouldn't be what it is if it was not for the time we spent together on the football field, right? So
not just on the football field, off the football field.
Correct. Yeah.
Checking on each other, making sure each other's right.
Right.
We had some breaks in time, but
of course,
we always was able to catch back up, like right where we left off at. And that's something to be said. And I appreciate you being a friend, man.
Well, I appreciate you being a friend, man. You know that.
Yeah. No, we're done with that.
All right.
I'm not talking to Coach Vodenlich right now.
All right.
I'm talking to JV. John, how you balance all this and continue to love the game while enjoying your fruits of your labor?
Yeah, I think that balance is a tough thing to do. I think you catch it later in life,
right?
Because you think you're gonna live forever. Certainly, we get plenty of reminders in our life.
We spoke on this.
Right. So and so calls you and they got cancer. This person calls you and they're struggling with this. They have a young daughter that's not doing well. And I'm not a religious person, but someone's showing us a lot of signs why we shouldn't take life for granted.
Oh.
They do that on a daily basis. Those reminders we get are impactful.
Right.
And you want to always keep that in mind as you're making decisions. Now, in my case, I'm so fortunate. I got a great wife. I got a great family that loves what we do here.
Right.
My son was our bat boy from 0 to age till he got to high school. Then he couldn't do that anymore because he had his own sport. So for me, it's a part of who we are, and that makes things easier to maintain that balance. I'm going to be going down to Dallas, as you know, for that Hall of Fame induction, and whether I was going for that or not, a good portion of my family probably would be going with me, right? Because it's something we do for our program together. So spring training, same thing. When I go to spring training, there's a good chance that part or all of my family will be with us. So I think anytime your position allows you to include your family in your endeavors,
right,
it makes that balance a little easier. Now, being an MP or U.S. Marshal. I don't know when the take your daughter to work day is, but it becomes a little bit more difficult for you. But for me, man, we're playing games, and it's fun to have the family around.
No, I didn't have that. I didn't have that that luxury to take them to work with me.
So,
but I did do a few of those bring your dig to school for career day. The one thing that I always remember is when my daughter Samantha introduced me, while I was working in the field, and she said, "I'd like to introduce you to my dad. He's a crime fighter." And I was like, "Oh yeah, crime fighter." I felt like putting my cape on. Then I got to work and got the reality of it. So tell us some things. We got a few more minutes. I know a few things about us, but outside of coaching, what do you like to do?
I love traveling.
Right.
I love traveling. I love. Europe is my place where I feel most comfortable.
What part? I know that you're
all over. So
Yugoslavia, but that country's not there anymore.
Correct. I feel most comfortable in Yugoslavia, which is no longer there. But I have great friends in Serbia, Croatia, and Slovenia.
Right.
My family, as you know, is from former Yugoslavia. My father was born from a Serbian father and a Slovenian mother, and my mom was 100% Croatian. And so, growing up, we had people and friends from all of the former states, right, in Yugoslavia. And of course, later they broke up, right? All the states broke up, and there was some ethnic strife and things of that nature. And once again, it was both that and living in Racine gave me a whole different perspective, because I don't remember not liking too many people.
No, I can't.
Whether they were black or white, or from Serbia, from Croatia, or Slovenia, or from Mexico. I don't ever remember my parents saying to me, we're not going to hang out with them because they're Serbian. Never once did that happen in my life.
Cool,
and so I feel at home, in all those areas.
Right.
And I have great friends there that I really enjoy. And so I guess my hobby is traveling. I like traveling the world. And really what I love, and that's not only in Europe, but when I'm down in Texas is different.
Yeah, Texas.
Florida's different. So I really enjoy the differences more than I loathe them. I really enjoy seeing the things that are different.
Right.
Figuring out that in Florida it's a Publix, right?
So yeah.
Instead of Sendix, I got to go to Publix. Sendix is in my area now. Yeah,
I don't know.
Pick and Save and Sendix.
I look. We got Piggly Wiggly and Save a Lot. That's the only thing I recognize from home down there in Florida. But Publix is my spot. Publix is where my daughter works.
Yeah, that's what you said. That's so awesome.
And you can't say anything bad.
Tell her I'm coming over to get a discount.
She won't give me a discount. You think she's gonna give you one?
But no, man. If I have a hobby, I guess it's traveling. I enjoy meeting people from all over, and you realize that there's so many great people in this world.
Right.
And I think we usually we emphasize and display differences more than we do commonalities, right? And I think that causes a lot of problems, both politically and otherwise. Man, there's good people everywhere.
Oh yeah. We just need to stop playing games with people's lives.
Yeah.
But that's for another day.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
That's for another day. So there's something that you brought up that I forgot. What's this thing that? Okay, I remember Bernie Mac's show. What was it, Mr. 3000?
Mr. 3000 was a movie, yeah.
So John here has a union card, right?
Actors well, I had it for 1 year.
1 year?
I didn't renew it.
You didn't renew it?
No.
Would you go back to film? Is that something that you think about doing when you retire?
Well, yeah, I would love to do it, but the reality of it is I'm not very good at it. It was a moment in my life, and it was a cool thing, and of course it was how it all started was I came home and they were doing a lot of the news agencies were trying to promote an interview to come down to Miller Park down in Milwaukee and come try out. If you think you're a baseball guy, come on, try out. And I had no desire to do this.
Right.
There was a line of 2,000 people. I said, I'm not going and sitting in this line. And I got home and my wife had convinced my daughter that this is right up my alley.
Right.
I'm a baseball guy, so I should go to this thing. And so I did it for my daughter. I said, all right, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to stand in this line. And it was the funniest thing ever because you're standing in line and the dude next to you has shorts and a tank top on. It says Magic Johnson.
Right.
He had never, I know he never played baseball, but he's in his gear. He's and then
he's sizing people up.
Yeah, the other guy, you know, he played maybe 1 year of baseball ever. And so fortunately for me, after I waited in that long line, I got to the front and the coach at UWM was a consultant on that project.
Right.
And once again, what were they looking for? Baseball people.
Baseball folks.
Right, it's a baseball film. And when he saw me, he's like, oh yeah, he's in. So then after that happened, I had to go through the process of getting the speaking part.
Right.
Which of course, I did so well at it that they cut it. Okay? So let's just be straight.
I like that.
I did it so well. You know, for that one day, I said I was a union actor for 1 day.
For 1 day.
1 day. They set up the scene. I did my line. And then they cut it. All right, but
you were actually on film catching it.
Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a separate piece that was cut. Yeah, I was on the set probably every day. Bernie Mac was an awesome individual to everybody, man. Yeah. Only love for him. He would come on set and he would give me a hug every day.
Now that was loosely based off of what real life ball player?
Yeah, it was like he had 2,999 hits, and he was called Mr. 3000 because
he was struggling to get that last hit.
Yeah. So what happened is he already was inducted into Hall of Fame. He was going into the Hall of Fame. They found out that they miscalculated how many hits. He didn't have 3,000.
He had to go back.
And now he's already old, and he has to come back and try to get 3 more hits.
That was a good storyline.
Good storyline. Yeah, good story. A lot of great actors in that movie, and it was fun to watch how they put something like that together. There's a home run in that where Bernie Mac has to hit a home run off us, and they wanted a real guy pitching. So Doug Henry, who played for the Brewers, was the pitcher. I was the catcher, and and of course, Bernie wasn't a baseball player, but he had been working on it to try to make it look look real. And so there's a scene in the movie where he hits a home run, and the reality of it is he barely hit it over the second baseman. Okay, but in the movie, it looked like he hit a bomb. Yeah, so it was great to see how all that gets put together. The director on the film, also very good to everybody, was the guy who did Whiplash.
Okay.
He also did Drumline. Yeah. And he directed everyone very, very well. He was a very good person, and yeah, it was good. I think my last residual check was like 68 cents. So I knew not much was coming after that. So
hey, well, look, man. A lot of us would like to be in film, but you actually did it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, a lot of
go out there, go out on Netflix and rent it so I can get some more money.
All right, folks, you heard that. You want you to go out and check out Mr. 3000 so they can get another check.
That's right.
All right, well, I'm getting ready to wrap up. Is there anything you want to ask me? Is there anything that you want to say? I want to congratulate you again for getting inducted to the National Hall of Fame for coaches down in Dallas. If anybody's in the Dallas area that may view or listen to the show, if you see John or you want to send him a card or something, the folks that we grew up with right here at Whitewater.
At uww.edu. or uwwsports.com.
There you go.
All right, and you'll find me pretty quick there. No, man, it's a pleasure to see you, Charlie, man. You're doing so well. And, I was surprised to hear you don't know the show Reacher.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't watch cop shows, man.
Yeah, see, he's the original Reacher.
No,
he's the original Reacher, man. Yeah.
I'm just a regular civil servant what was a regular civil servant for the country.
Yeah, no,
it's been a
privilege, man.
Enjoy my work, and I'm glad that I'm upright standing and made it to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Getting ready to venture off into something new.
Yeah. And if you have time, I'd love you to meet the team.
Oh, definitely.
They'll benefit by meeting you, man.
All right, let's do that.
So, all right.
Hey, folks, thank you again. I'd like to thank John one more time for coming on my show, and I hope that we'll be able to do this again, maybe after the season, because you're going to win another championship this year, right?
That's the plan.
There you go, bro.
Let's go do it. All right, man.
Take care. I just like that.
That's all good, baby. Good timing, too, because now we could go inside and